Let's continue with plant science. I'm skipping 9.1.4 because we're going to take a look at that in our classroom. But let's continue on with looking at the way plants grow. So we want to look at apical and lateral meristems. So let's start with the knowledge that plants are indeterminate. And what that's really referring to is that plants have the ability to grow, and they're going to grow tall. And so what we see is this growth occurring for the length, the elongation of a plant, as well as the girth, how wide that plant is going to be. And so first we can look at simple meristems. Just meristems are a region of undifferentiated cells, and undifferentiated cells are just basically what we've considered stem cells. I wouldn't necessarily call them stem cells. They're like stem cells, but they don't have any differentiated specialized job. So they can pretty much become anything. They will be differentiated, they will be given their identity, their role later on when things are regulatory proteins are taking place. And so meristems help to generate new cells and more growth for the plant. And like I said, they're kind of like a stem cell, not necessarily, but they haven't really been told what they can become. And we can refer to apical meristems as a primary stem and lateral stems as cambium. And so just having the knowledge that they're also called primary or cambium, that's good to know. They're just kind of interchangeable. So apical refer to primary meristems, and lateral is referring to the cambium, because the cambium is going to be a portion where we see the girth of that plant get wider. So now we want to compare apical and lateral. So let's start with looking at what apical meristems are. Apical meristems are going to be located in the roots and the shoots, and we call these our primary meristems. So at the root, that's the stem, and the root. So down here. So the shoot and the root. And this type of growth is going to lengthen our plant. And you can recognize that because it's in the root. It's at the top and the bottom. So we have two directions to go. We can go up or down. Okay? And lateral meristems, or the cambium, are going to look at the width of a plant. So especially when you consider a tree, okay? When you are looking at a tree, okay, that growth is going to be for the width. And we have lots of cambium type structures within that trunk, which is referring to that name. And the width, that girth of some sort of plant, is going to help support the weight and any sort of extra mass that the apical meristems are causing the plant to have. So as that plant grows tall, we want some lateral meristems to also differentiate into specialized cells so that we can support how tall the plant is getting. If you consider really tall trees, that's why their trunks get really wide, is because they have to support how tall the tree is, or else it would collapse. And we see the vascular cambium, just to give a little bit more depth of information. Within the xylem and the phloem of our stems, we can have the vascular cambium, which is where we're going to get that lateral meristem growing. And we can also have secondary xylem growth within that, like a tree trunk or the stem of a plant. And for example, the secondary xylem we do see in trees, because we start to see the rings that grow. So that ring, if you cut down a tree and you look at, ooh, that's bad. Okay, you look at the dark rings and the light rings around a plant. They can look at annually and see how old the tree is, because this darker portion is going to be that vascular cambium. And then the last type of cambium that we have within lateral meristems is cork cambium, and that's what actually makes the bark on the outside. So it is still considered growth from the lateral meristem, but it's just the outside of our stem, so outside of our trunk. So here you can see both, and this is where I want you to draw your picture for your notes. You can see we have remember the shoots, and the roots are the apical meristem, giving us the growth, and the girth that you see is going to be at the lateral meristem. So make sure that you draw this within your diagram. It wouldn't be a bad thing to put within your exam if need be, or a test of mine, but make sure that you are describing this picture, and you want to be able to compare at this point the difference between the two. And lastly, you're going to be looking through an animation from this website, so make sure that you pause this and write down this URL so you could type it in, and you're going to look at what a tropism is and what phototropism is. So I'm sure that you can guess photos dealing with light, but please take a look here to learn the role of auxin, which is a hormone that can help regulate the response to external stimuli as a plant grows.